Hi class, this is Amanda Harrison, and I know that we're really busy this week, but I just wanted to share a little bit with you about Kate Chopin and how influential she has been to American literature. Her literary inspiration was ambitious as the subjects that she wrote about. Cervantes, Dante, Goethe, Austen, the Bronte sisters, Coleridge, Flaubert, Madame de Staël, Émile Zola, Guy de Maupassant. These are amongst the influences that she drew from Madame Bovary by Flaubert. She liked the love stories of Jane Austen, the kind of sad morbidity of the Bronte sisters. All of this she drew from. Catherine O'Flaherty was born on February 8, 1850, to an Irish immigrant father and a French-American mother. She grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and thanks to the different languages spoken in their house and the different cultural influences she was around, there became an innate ability in her to get along with many different types of people and feel at home in many different situations. She attended the St. Louis Academy of the Sacred Heart and received the majority of her education there. When she was there, she was mentored by the nuns and developed a close relationship with them. And alongside of her mother and her French great-grandmother, and her grandmother as well, there was a strong female influence on her. Her father passed away when she was around the age of 5, and that just makes the female influence in her life even stronger. And as you read her writings, you really see that she understands what it's like to be a woman. Not a lot of female writers at the time embraced a lot of the natural feelings and emotions that came along with being a woman during the Civil War period. Kate had no problem exploring these at all, and she really understood them, and she was not afraid to voice certain things that lots of women, even today, don't like to voice. At the age of 18, Kate met Oscar Chopin, who was no relation, as far as we know, to Frederick Chopin. Anyway, Oscar, his father was a French immigrant, and she became engaged to him. Kate confided she had this commonplace book, kind of like a diary, that she wrote lots of things down. And in that book, she stated, shortly after being engaged, "I am going to be married to the right man. It does not seem as strange as I thought it would. I feel perfectly calm, perfectly collected." And how surprised everyone was, for I had kept it so secret. And then Kate and Oscar, they were married in 1870 when she was 20. And after their honeymoon, they settled down in New Orleans, where Oscar was involved very successfully in the cotton business. And they had 6 children, 5 boys and a girl. And then, however, in 1879, Oscar had to close his cotton business because things were financially looking like the economy was not doing so well. And shortly afterward, however, Oscar did purchase a general store, but 3 years later he died of malaria, which left him a 32-year-old widow to raise his 6 children. Kate stayed around the area for a while, trying to keep the store open, and during this time it has been said that she enjoyed the company of many men. However, some of this is not factual, or there hasn't been sufficient proof, except for there is one documentation of an affair that she had with a married farmer, but she never married again. And in 1884, she moved back to St. Louis to be with her family, and unfortunately her mother died a year later. Chopin, she was encouraged to write by a doctor friend of hers, and she started. She wrote 2 novels, with The Awakening being the most notorious and the most controversial of the 2. This book was inspired by Madame Bovary by Flaubert, and a lot of critics really hated this book. One of the adjectives that I came across when I was researching the different critiques is people described the book as poison. The book was open about the discovery and sensation of a woman's sensuousness and sexuality. It opened up about topics that the mainstream public liked to shove into the back of a dark closet. Women themselves didn't even like to give voice to these thoughts because they were perceived to be unnatural or immoral, shameful. And